Right. If anybody join, meanwhile, they will just tag along. I will start the presentation. So you already see the first slide. I guess you are seeing it. Today, I'm not here to give medical advice. I'm here to show you what happened when I started measuring instead of guessing, using my own blood, body composition, and sleep data. Right? So this is for people who do not know me until most of the people here do, but I'm 53, French. I work as an IT project manager, and also I have a fitness coaching business. And as hobby, of course, fitness is one of my biggest hobby. Uh, Health science, people, cats, and travel. I studied science, so I did a lot of biology, physics, and chemistry, which makes me comfortable with the topics of health that we're talking about and very much interested into it. I also certified as a personal trainer a couple of years ago and trying to deep dive into the science of supplements and nutrients. So this is actually, for me, a good practice exercise. On the agenda, what I want to discuss, my personal journey, simply giving you a few details of what happened to my health a couple of years back, and why I started measuring, then why measurement matters, concept of nutrition and supplement and how they contributed to my health, and pretty much the difference between fixing symptoms or root cause. What I want to say before moving to the following slides and starting the presentation. This is not medical advice. This is my personal story. I've been tracking my health data for years, blood tests, in-body scans, sleep data, heart rate, nutrition, pretty much everything that you can possibly track. And I'm trying to present you just a subset of this information because there's a lot of it available. What I came to make of it, pretty much by looking at the connection points, the changes that I did, and the improvement that happened. Knowing that, of course, everybody's different, so everybody will react different. So again, for any medical concern, this is not my responsibility, and make sure to visit a qualified healthcare professional. This being said, what is my story? Some of you might know it, some of you don't. It started way earlier, but my awareness of my health started in 2020 when pretty much at the moment of the Corona lockdown. We were all locked up. We didn't have a gym anymore. I was home. I was working on my desk, looking at my watch. My heartbeat was already like at 90, 100 beats per minute while I was sitting. And I just started to wonder what's going on. My first reaction was, of course, I'm home. I'm not moving as much as I used to. I don't do my cardio. So probably my condition is worsening. So nothing to worry about. And of course, it was also my ego talking because I've always been a sport person. So why should I have a health problem, right? Gyms reopened around April outside. So I started to train. I was training with a good friend of mine. And we were training legs together. And during the leg training, my heart rate was going at 180. And my chest was literally moving. I could see it moving, and I was still not taking it seriously. I was just making fun of it. So it's like, oh my God, this is great. Look at this. Up to the point where I started to have like really some chest pain. But even that was still not a signal for me. It was like, okay, I recovered after an hour, half an hour in the beginning, up to the point that it happened 3 or 4 times. And then, but between that time, it was between April and October. So October, I decided to go and see a doctor. And this is where pretty much everything unrevealed. So I got diagnosed with Grave after a couple of blood work. My heart rate was completely irregular. My blood pressure was up the roof. And Grave disease, what is Grave disease? This is a autoimmune disease that has impacts your thyroid, and it pretty much puts your thyroid on hyperdrive and your body on hyperdrive, increasing your heartbeat. So as an example, even during my sleep over the previous 6 months, my heartbeat was not going below 100 beats per minute during my sleep. What does that mean? That means that pretty much my body was never resting, and I could feel it. I could feel aches. I could feel my joints when I was trying to bend down on my knees. My energy level was not at its best. But also because I'm ADHD, it was just putting me almost at a normal level of every normal person. So I did not really notice that much until I got to the doctor. Did an MRI and got pretty much diagnosed also with some scar tissue on my heart. There were a lot of discussion with the cardiologists. I decided to get a second opinion as I did not agree with some of the conclusions. I went to another professor in January, got other tests done. Meanwhile, I was on beta blocker, statins, blood pressure medication, thyroid medication, thyroid replacement medication. So to block and to replace. By the time in March where I did my new scan, pretty much the cardiologist confirmed that everything was back to normal, that my heart was okay, except from superficial scar tissue. Which actually, since I wanted to still compete and continue the bodybuilding, I checked with the cardiologist, with the professor, asked him, is it okay? This is what I'm planning to do. He gave me his consent with the guarantee that I would keep doing regular checkups. And I went on pretty much on my bodybuilding journey. So I was not yet finished, and I didn't want to finish. So 4 years of bodybuilding. Just had my best result ever during those years. I achieved incredible wins considering my age. So it was not in the age category, but in the weight category. But over time, since I competed every year, I started to notice sleeping issue, gut issue. My blood pressure got again up. My cholesterol started again to get a bit inconsistent. So this, on the outside, I looked amazing. On the inside, my body was just slowly again shutting down. Despite the fact that I was keeping an eye on my blood work, Inbody scans, I could see already, at least in the measurements, that things were off. But again, my ego was in the way. So back then, what was my supplement routine? Well, a lot of pills. That's what a lot of people do. Vitamin C here, magnesium there, zinc here. This is for the heart, it's good. Let's take this for the liver. Pretty much at the end, I ended up with 20 pills or more in my hand every morning, having difficulties even to swallow them. Sleeping problem, trying to get some melatonin, some oil, or whatever, anything that could help, right? So now what I'm going to show you is pretty much how does that translate in 8 years trend approximately when it comes to my cholesterol measurements, liver, and for the omega-3 and all the vitamins. Those are recent measurements, but just to show you that how important it is to measure. First, everybody talks about cholesterol, how much and what do you know about it. So we call bad cholesterol good cholesterol. We talk about triglycerides, but what is it exactly? So the LDL, which is called the bad cholesterol, is actually not that bad if it's in good levels because it has a function. It takes pretty much the cholesterol from your liver and it brings it to your cells. So it's kind of like the delivery trucks, right? But too much delivery trucks, traffic jam, this is where the problems happen. HDL, also known as good cholesterol, the garbage truck, we need HDL because it's the good cholesterol. It's going to pick up the extra supplies, bring them back to the liver. So it cleans your body actually from the cholesterol. The triglyceride is just the energy in fat form that is traveling to be used or to be stored in your blood flow. Same thing, you need a normal amount of triglycerides because this is a normal function, but too much of it gets sticky, and this is where we start to get cardiovascular disease. This is where omega-3s have a huge role in many purposes. So those are omega-3 are the firemen. They will resolve inflammation in your body. They will actually help to reduce the number of triglycerides by improving your liver function and simply protect your arteries by improving the fluidity of your blood and the membrane of the cells just to improve the flow. Same thing for vitamin K2 and D3, which have a very specific role to guide the calcium that your body takes, used by the help of vitamin D3. And the K2 will make sure that it's directed to the bones. So there is a synergy, there is a purpose to all of it. And when we talk about, for example, omega-3s, we know what it does to the body amongst, for example, the cholesterol and the lipids. Right? Those were my lipid values from 2019 until 24. So without going too much into details, the HDL column here, you can see that it's been usually pretty low, hardly ever, actually not ever above the 110. Above 0.9, it's considered as healthy. But I was just pretty much always in the green, amber, red, so very low. LDL values have been fluctuating. They've been good actually around 21, but this is when I was on beta blocker and medication. And then I had a really high increase during my competition season. July 23 correspond also to the moment where I was having actually some issues with my guts. So inflammation most likely caused additional stress on the liver. So pretty much irregular lipid markers, really low for the HDL, high for the LDL. I was on TRT, I had grave disease on top of it. So stress, medication, all of that just has an influence. From 2025, you can see that slowly my HDL is moving from really below the target to way above. It's never been that high on 132, so never had such high HDL level. My LDL, which was at the top at 332, or actually above 3, is now going down. And my triglycerides, which have never, ever, ever been so low. And this without any medication, nothing. So what we see a clear improvement. It's a change actually of habits. What did I change? One of the big, this is the single marker that actually changed everything since I started, or the biggest contributor. I started the journey, and this is where I started my also testing journey of omega-3, because I never did it, as it's not part of the standard healthcare testing that is offered without asking. You can ask it, but there will always be questions by you, doctor. So what I like about when I started with ecology is simply you can take ownership of your own health, and you can just do the test at home and pretty much see how much is your omega-3 index. Within just 3 months, my index increased. So just for people that are not familiar with the index, the science proved that an index from 8% to 12% is an optimal health index, just to reduce drastically chance of cardiovascular risk and other inflammatory uh, uh, chronic disease. So the index is really related to improving or reducing chronic inflammation with your body and helping your body to recover faster, to have better reactions to inflammation. And you can see from March to now, pretty much stable index. The second one is the omega-6, omega-3 ratio, which was also too high. Again, omega-6 are pro-inflammatory, omega-3 are anti-inflammatory. In the normal diet or in the old diets that we used to have prior to the seed oils and industrial food, mass industrial food, omega-6 were in a better balance. What we see is that we tend to over-consume omega-6 and bringing this balance off, which leads again to more chronic inflammation and imbalances. Omega-6 are needed, but with a certain ratio compared to omega-3. Vitamin K2 and D3, like I explained, K2 help reducing calcium depots in the arteries. So whenever on top of it we are more at risk or we are more in inflammatory level, like most population is, we tend to have more a deposit of calcium, which over time creates stiffer arteries and eventually blood clots. So the vitamin K2 is vital as much as the vitamin D3. Both of them work in synergy. D3 allows you to absorb calcium, and vitamin K2 allows you to take that calcium out and direct it to the bones, which is really important. Somebody should go on mute. Raoul, if you can go on mute, thank you. Thank you. So again, it's an addition which going to allow your arteries to stay younger and healthier together with the omega-3, which prevent the inflammation. This is just simply the cleaning crew that makes it work better. So what you see here on my result is I started actually around February, March, the K2D3 from ecology. My numbers were actually normal, not yet completely optimal. My K2 was still actually not high, so I increased my dosage, went to 67 in December, because I also, the K2 and D3 are just single pills. So pretty much I increased my D3, meaning I increased my K2. I did not measure my K2 yet with ecology, but considering the increase of D3, the extrapolation means that I should be around 9.4 nanogram per milliliter for the K2. So this is an extrapolated value, just to be sure that you understand that, based on the outcome from the vitamin D3. All right, now we go to our liver, the logistic and control hub. So most of you know how important the liver is. Pretty much the liver is the oil refinery, right? Think at the liver as the central processing plant of fats. So what's happened there, incoming fats arrive from food via the guts, And from bodies, that's fat stores. The liver, what does it do? It sorts the fats, triglyceride, cholesterol, fatty acid, converts fat into usable form, package them into transport particles like LDL, HDL, VLDL. So what does it do? What is a key role? So it produces cholesterol, which is needed for hormones, cell membrane, vitamin D. It regulates how much fat stays in the liver versus get exposed. So it decides whether the fat is used for energy, stored, or sent to other tissue. So pretty much when the system is overloaded, too much fat, alcohol, inflammation, insulin resistance, fat accumulates in the liver, and this is where we call the fatty liver, right? Blood lipids become dysregulated. So liver enzyme, ASAT and ALAT, which I'm going to come to, goes up. So those are the two liver value that people measures often to see the health of the liver. So the bile, for example, is also the liver's detergent and waste removal fluid. So what the bile does, it emulsifies fat, it dissolves fat into in the intestine, breaks large fat droplet into tiny ones, so enzyme can digest them, allow absorption of fats, fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, K. So, and it carries the waste products out of the body, including excess cholesterol, use hormone, toxin. Right? So the flow goes through liver, bile, gallbladder, intestine, and stool. So if the flow is poor, pretty much the whole fat digestion change. The vitamins are not absorbed, cholesterol drops, and the waste recirculates instead of leaving the body, which creates toxicity, right? So it is an incredible machinery. So I will not go into all the details of it. But why lifestyle and nutrition matter so much. So the liver function is strongly influenced by inflammation, insulin sensitivity, alcohol, training load and recovery, fat quality, so omega-3 versus omega-6. So this is why I mean it explains why you can look healthy but still have a lot of stress on your liver because it's doing a lot of work for you. So when the inflammation drops, the lipid markers improve. So it supports the fat metabolism and often improve bile flow and cholesterol at the same time. So the liver doesn't just process fat, it decides how fat are used, how fat are stored, transported, and eliminated. So when these systems run smoothly, cholesterol digestion and inflammation stays in balance. Simple as that. Right? So it's, of course, processes the carbs as well, the toxins. So it is an incredible machine. And the beauty of the liver is it actually can recover. So we're really lucky because even if we damage it to a certain extent, the liver still has the possibility to recover. So ASAT, ALAT, we heard here, or AST, ALT. So AST is one of the enzymes that is measured when we do a blood work. So it is found in the liver, but also in the muscle and heart, reflex tissue stress, but not only liver stress. So meaning that your training can also influence the stress of that enzyme. So muscle damage, intense training, physical stress or illness, alcohol, and medication, right? And ALT or ALAT is actually an enzyme that is mainly found in the liver cells. So this is more specific to liver marker and reflects the liver health and overload or inflammation. So fatty liver, how does it influence the fatty liver, liver overload, alcohol consumption, poor metabolic health, chronic inflammation, and certain medication again. So those are my results over the past 6 years, so since 2020. I put a slightly color code, and you can see that over the past, pretty much like I hardly ever had, I think in March 2021, this is pretty much where I was still recovering from my Graves' disease. I was on heavy medication on top of it with the liver, my thyroids, plus the heart medication. So this is pretty much the only moment where my values were in the green, so below the 35, below the 45. Fast forward again, from the moment I started with ecology, I see like an incredible recovery and pretty much values that have never been so low over time. So it's really, for me, it's an eye opener. And just to see, I had a visit at the Android Health Clinic already back then in March, where the doctor was wondering what I did because he never saw such a fast improvement. And he was really curious about what did I implement just to recover that fast. So I was really proud to explain him what I did. Showed him actually the bottle that I was using, and later on I received an email from him mentioning that he has never seen a product with such high quality of ingredients. So I kept the email because for me it's really always a reminder and a proof from an endocrinologist, reputable endocrinologist that actually has been studying many people using all sort of supplements, where he tells you that it's the best supplement that he has found on the market. And for me, this is just priceless, not just as somebody who's helping people, but just for myself to know what I'm putting in my body is the best thing that I can put in my body. Yeah, you can see like there's an H. pylori on top of it where you see a lot of inflammation here. I had like a bacteria, so you may be familiar with the H. pylori, which is a bacteria that reside in your stomach, and that creates an incredible inflammation of your guts as well as stomach. So during that time, that's why you see a big drop. I started to take antibiotic immediately, but also that also had an influence on my guts. For the rest, recently I just decided to also test other vitamins, just since the vitamin Bs, the like B9, B5, B2, magnesium, zinc are all essential for your energy production, for your cell function, for your metabolism. So I decided just to check, considering that I'm taking, again, one very specific supplement. Now I'm just taking it in multivitamin form, Nordic Energy Booster. I'm not overthinking like I used in the past, taking 3,000 pills, and I can see that my results are excellent. Sometimes too high. On the vitamin B12 is not really a big problem. On the selenium, I was running an experiment, and again, I stopped afterwards. So more is not better. I was taking more than recommended on the box. And just one more time, the proof that you should not auto-medicate yourself. Just take what is recommended. Don't abuse supplements as well. Now we're going to move to my second part. So the blood was part of my, I did a lot of blood tests, but my business is also with the Inbody scan. So I do body composition measurements. I discovered the Inbody, I think 17 years ago. And 4 years ago, I decided to make it a business and acquire one of these beautiful machines. Apart from the body fat and the muscle mass, the bone density, this machine has also the capacity to look at the extracellular water ratio. So it's pretty much, it reflects how well your body manage water distribution. It indicates the balance between fluid inside your cells and fluid outside your cells, which is closely linked to inflammation, tissue stress, and recovery capacity. So the ECW ratio reflects how clean your tissue environment is. So lower value generally indicates better intracellular hydration, less inflammatory fluid retention, and healthier tissue balance. So also it has a measurement which is called the phase angle. the phase angle is one of the best non-invasive indicators of cellular health. It reflects membrane integrity of your cells, hydration quality, and also how resilient your tissue are, all of which are closely linked to metabolic health, right? So phase angle reflects the strength and efficiency of your cells. Higher values generally indicates healthier cell membrane, better water distribution, and greater metabolic resilience. So it is simply like your diet, your hydration, your supplementation will directly influence actually this number. It's a personal number, so you can only compare it to yourself because every person differ in muscle mass. And so the result have to be compared just to your own results. So let's go into the numbers. I'm going to just highlight pretty much two scans. One's from the 8th of February, 25, so early last year. And the other one from 6th of January, which is early this year. Okay, so you can see that back then I was 98.8 kilos. I'm now 90.4 kilos. I was heavier. 44 kilo muscle back now, 50 kilo lean mass. I had more muscle on paper. 62.8 liters of water in my body back then, 56 liters. So it's 6 liters difference, right? 6 liters, 6 kilos, right? More body water back then. So if you look at the extracellular water ratio and phase angle here, and you look in general at the overall result on paper, I was healthier, right? Body fat mass, 13.2 kilos. Now, this year, 13.1 kilo. Same amount of fat, exactly, almost to 100 grams. I'd stayed the same. And this is where it becomes interesting. So the scan also shows me what was my circumference in abdomen and hips. 93 centimeters abdomen, 113 hip, and visceral fat of 5, so 57 centimeters. So same visceral fat, but my waist and abdomen are smaller. So 88 versus 93 back then, 108 versus 113, which is 5 centimeters, right? So I reduced my waist, same abdominal fat, so internal fat. So my waist got smaller. Now I'm kind of like getting confused, right? Was I really better? Looking at the body distribution, the water distribution, if you look at my trunk, I had 26 liters in the midsection, so the trunk. I had 29, 3 liters more of water in the whole midsection of my body back then. So the water is better distributed. If I look at the phase angle and the extracellular water, I see very small differences. So you're not familiar with the reading, but if you look at the amount of muscle mass less, but the numbers are stable, pretty much it's just more efficiency on the muscle. It's not like I lost muscle. I lost muscle volume because of the water. So before my body looked strong, but was holding hidden stress. Now my body is leaner, cleaner, and working more efficiently. So it's not about just being bigger or heavier. It's just simply about your body working properly. So at the end of the day, this is not the good scan. This is the good scan. As an anecdote as well, within just a month, 6 weeks, I was snoring in January like I don't know, like an elephant. I don't know if this is the right way of saying it. It took me about 4 to 6 weeks to get back my normal breathing while sleeping, which is key also for sleep quality, right? Which will bring me through the next slide. So after measuring, let's say, body composition and water and inflammation. My sleep, I measure everything. I told you everything is measured because I think it's fascinating to see how it can change. So on the left side, it was January 25. On the right side, December 25. So January is when I started to take my new protocol of supplements. December, I've been in it for a year. So what you see, the deep sleep is often below 1 to 1.5 hours. So those are the deep sleep peaks. So 59 minutes, 44, 59, 1 hour. And actually, it was even worse before, but this is already, let's say, slightly improved. So short, unstable deep sleep. And if the deep sleep is not good, pretty much the recovery cannot be good and nothing works. On the right side, pretty much deep sleep increased to more than 2 hours, up to 3 hours even, fewer lows, longer deep, more stable, better recovery. And simply, I feel amazing every single morning. I wake up without any problem. I don't have any energy dip. It's simply like the improvement in deep sleep. It's simply the broader shifts in my blood work, my body composition. Everything correlates. And this is what I was talking in the beginning. It's just clicks. Everything gets together and makes sense together. So what did I change? Most of you know, so it's simple. I went from this, right? So I move away from taking supplements, trusting people. So I want to see where it comes from. I want to understand whether there are tests being made. I want to understand what the ingredients are being used. And I want to simply take what matters and not anything that is trendy or told by an influencer or anything like that. So I simplify my stack to simply those 4 items. Nordic Energy Booster, which is a multivitamin with zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, selenium, complex B vitamin, iodine, some antioxidants, and I might be forgetting something in the meanwhile. And simply the omega-3, which are really the foundation for everything, K2D3 to ensure that on the cardiovascular side, stay as safe as possible, as long as possible, and for my ligaments and joints and skin and hair, for what's left of them. Collagen. That's it. That's all I did. So what changed in my approach? So omega-3, from the learning that I've done over the past year, is more important than just heart and brain. It has like pretty much fundamental function, anti-inflammatory, cell quality, cell permeability to allow nutrients to get in and waste to get out, so to avoid any inflammation. What I've learned is without testing, so which I did not do, I was using supplements without testing. So I always take the analogy of the car. Everybody bring their car for an APK once a year to check how the car is doing. So without testing, I had no way of knowing. I felt healthy, but that doesn't mean that I was healthy. So I learned that not all supplements are equal, and a brand doesn't mean that it's a good supplement. So you need to make more research, you need to have more data, you need to have external tests that are done by external companies. So I learned that looking healthy is not the same as feeling healthy. And that energy, sleep, digestion, and recovery are not always visible. And online reviews, which I used to pay attention a lot to, can be misleading. So the real trust comes from independent external quality reports, right? So also what I've learned the hard way is capsules, like when it comes to omega-3, for example, cannot compete with full spectrum liquid omega-3. So when it comes to absorption and biological impacts, which I've seen in my blood result after using it. So the final takeaway, measuring is key. Feeling healthy and being healthy doesn't mean the same thing. Always food first, of course, but some nutrients need support because we just don't have enough of it. So that's where omega-3 is one of them. Hard to get enough from food alone. Testing create clarity. What are you afraid to test if you know that it's good for your health? So blood, body, sleep data, keep track that you can have as much data as possible. And health is built upstream. So what I mean by that is we don't want to fix issues. We want to pretty much make sure that those issues do not happen. So I went from assumption to measurements, and I went from symptoms with my autoimmune disease. And as maybe a lot of people know, autoimmune disease, I have a direct relationship also with the nutrients. So you can have lower chance. It doesn't mean that it treats autoimmune disease, but the chance of reducing an autoimmune disease are bigger if you take the right nutrients. So I went from symptoms to root cause and pretty much hoping to not get in any new autoimmune disease from now on. So, and if you don't measure it, my question to any of you here on the call is, how do you know it's working if you're taking any supplements? That was it for me. Not sure who is on the call, but for the one that are on the call, if you have any question, you can use the chat, or you can just, since there's not so many people, just unmute yourself and ask any question. And if there is no question,
Of course, there's always a question. I want to know how many omega-3s are you taking in like daily? I know the capsules are like 250 milligrams. So how many were you taking of those? And what are you taking now?
so no, the capsules are not 250 milligrams. The daily recommended dose by the Food Administration is 250 milligrams per day.
Yeah.
So this is actually not for an optimal health, but this is just to let's say try to not be sick. So I will not comment so much on that number, but looking at the research, let's say we go more for really visible impact on cholesterol, for example, reduction of cholesterol, blood pressure. You go more towards the 2 grams. But how much am I taking? Let's say I'm taking between 3 and 4 grams per day.
So that's 3,000 to
20,
4,000 milligram of
20
omega-3.
20 ml, 10 to 20 ml per day, depending on my mood and my time.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and now I'm around 11%, considering that my diet is not as clean as it used to be a year ago because I eat a lot more fatty stuff and processed food as well, actually.
Well, 11% of what?
11% index of omega-3.
Oh, so that's how many omega-3s are in your blood. So how many?
That's the measurement of EPA and DHA in the red blood cells, which is made by the blood test,
Cool.
compared to the rest of the fatty acids.
Thanks.
Okay. Any?
And I
Yeah.
want to know where can you test all of this?
Uh, this is actually, like I mentioned, with ecology, you have the possibility to have a home test. So the person who actually recommend you with the products will be able to guide you and to provide you with that blood test so that you can get post. You can get it, then 20 days later, you can get the result anonymously through a website where you put a code, the unique code.
And that's an all-in-one test?
All in one test, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's get tested then. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody
Um,
else? I'll still you.
I have more questions. How long have you been doing this for?
1 year, actually. I
What?
started I started exactly 1 year ago, and this is pretty much where my health has totally shifted, like you could see earlier in the results. So it's been a very interesting year when it comes to my health journey.
But you
I
did not learn this in 1 year, right?
I did learn this in 1 year. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a fascinating topic.
Wow.
No, the only
Cool.
thing that I can say is um, we tend to outsource our health, uh, and as much as I can have control over it, I will just, like I said earlier, try to prevent anything by taking control over what I can control. So the testing is something easy to see. The science is quite easy on the basic nutrients. You always have some professionals around you as people who recommended you on the call that can explain you why those nutrients are important. So you can actually take full ownership on most of your health. The healthcare system should only be there in case of emergency when you really have a problem.
Okay. Well, that shifts my whole idea on health because you go to the doctor because you have a problem, right?
Yeah, so you don't want to have a problem, so then there's no need to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah, but he is the health expert, right? The doctor knows the things.
Those are the professional that you see when you have indeed something that a complaint, but you don't go to the doctor when you're healthy, right?
No, I don't. I try not to go there for fun.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
And and nowadays, I don't know what a doctor can do when they have 5 or 10 minutes for you. Um, it's really difficult to know whether they can really address any questions if this is not an urgent problem that you're trying to address them. All right, guys. If there's no more question, I will just give you back your evening, and I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend in advance for the one that are going away.
Thanks a lot, Nordin.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, Nore. Thank you.
Bye.